Joy. I'm here with Jud Campbell, most amazing member of the band Shandy, and we're just on the couch today to have a little bit of a chat about what's going on. Be great to get a bit of insight into the music scene and what it means for Brisbane as well. So you've been involved in the music scene for a long time. I guess it'd be really interesting to kind of get your insight on how it's changed over the years.
I think Brisbane has been unique for a long time as a city, and its music community has thrived because of that. We have large bands in Brisbane right now, Violent Soho, the Amity Affliction. There is a long list of really successful bands in Brisbane, and I think that comes from a particular time and place back in sort of the early 2000s. What we really see, I think, in music communities around the world is often it takes like 10 years for something that's happening in a community. We then see the fruits of it later on. And one of the great things about Brisbane was always its size. People call it cliquey, but I reckon the Brisbane music community actually benefited from, at one point, being like a smaller community. In a sense, because everyone competed with each other to get better. And at the same time, it really forced like a melting pot of music ideas, with people having to perform in different groups that might not be one particular genre or another. So in cities like Melbourne and Sydney, who have their own communities, like they often got really segmented into quite niche kind of genres, and Brisbane had a long tradition going back all the way to like Powderfinger and Regurgitator. Regurgitator would call themselves a pop band or a pop rock band, but they all started out in the punk community, and they all started playing in different bands and sort of came together. And I think one of the really big changes that we've seen in Brisbane over the last sort of 15 years is that we've kind of lost a home for a lot of the music and underground kind of music. And it is that underground music that then, as I said, kind of 10, 15 years later sometimes becomes what is big nationally and internationally. And so we have lost a little bit of the... I don't fear for music now, I fear for it in 10 years. And I think that by losing like some of the venues and some of the homes of music around Brisbane, we've kind of lost a little bit of that community aspect, which I think is so important for artists sharing ideas and kind of creating new bands and new concepts. So yeah, I think we've done well and we will continue to do so, but we need the community to get on board and hopefully politicians as well to get on board.
So music is incredibly dynamic and often has some really amazing messages in there. How do you see politics and music coming together?
Yeah, I believe that artists, whether or not they're conscious or subconsciously, I think that art embodies the same things that politics does, which inherently is about community and society and our place within it. So I think there is a lot of overlap. I think that we do have an issue in Australia whereby we always see, I hear people talk about what people do as a job as, what kind of part of the body are they? If society was like a human being, then what would business people be? People say like, oh, they'd be the head, or, some people would see like, oh, the labourers are the arms and all that stuff. I see the arts as being the conscience of our community and our society, and we need artists to hold up a mirror to where we are as a community and as a society. And I think that has huge value that is often overlooked, because it's really hard to tangibly put that into economic terms for a lot of people. And a lot of people complain that unless artists are making a lot of money, then it's not worthwhile. I fundamentally disagree, and I think it's the same with education. Being educated has value for us, whether or not somebody ends up doing a job in the thing that they're educated in. We all benefit from people being educated, and I believe the same with the arts. We all benefit from having a vibrant arts community, whether people know it or not. And so in terms of politics, I think that if we actually gave it a value that we recognised through our government, then we could encourage younger artists for people to experiment, and that's what we need, and that's the basis of what the arts is.